So welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and I'm a gorilla in the wrist. Today we're looking at our first Wishdoit watch. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with a quick run round the dimensions and specifications. So this watch has a 40mm dial width, has quite a substantial 53mm lug to lug, and we're going to come back to that a little bit later. But a standard lug width of 20mm. It houses the NH35 movement and therefore it's not particularly thick at 12mm. On the metal bracelet, weighs in at 157 grams, has 150 meters of water resistance and a very flat sapphire crystal. So we're going to do a quick run around the watch. Very clearly this is a Zodiac Seawolf inspired homage. It does have a 40mm dial. It has a black ceramic bezel, which the light is bouncing off ridiculously, but you're going to have to take my word for it, it's really nice. I really like a nice shiny bezel. And if anybody knows what the extra little markers are, so we've got the usual 15-minute markers, but there are intermediary markers there, and there. If one of my more knowledgeable viewers could educate me on what that's all about, that would be really, really helpful. We have, I've said it's sort of matte black, a light matte black stroke grey dial. It's really nice, I like it. It has this sort of train line minute track all the way around the outside. We've got applied high polished indices everywhere at everywhere other than at the 3. And that's because we have the date window at the 3. We have very simple but highly polished fence post hands with loom, and we're going to do a loom shot a bit later on, so hold your horses on that one. And we have a needle second hand with a loomed square, sort of aligned with the indices. We have the Wishdoit emblem logo above the pinion, and below the pinion we have automatic 150 meters. We have a brushed case for the most part, with a high polished chamfered edge all the way around. We have a crown with the Wishdoit logo on it, but again, this is a very well brushed case. We have a fairly simple 3-link oyster style bracelet, again nicely brushed. This is fairly simple, but it's done pretty well, with a high polished edge. And then we have again a branded Wishdoit ladder clasp. Perfectly decent. It doesn't have on the fly adjustment, but at these sorts of prices, maybe not. This one is on Amazon around £80, but a perfectly decent clasp. I guess the only argument against it is there isn't any micro adjust on the outside, but you can micro adjust inside the clasp itself. And on the back we have, again, a mixture of brushed and polished finishes, with what I think is a reasonably nice emblem of a boat on it. And that's essentially the watch. Clearly a 150 meter dive watch. So let's talk about things that I'm not a big fan of on this watch. And the first one is the loom, really. So you will have just seen the loom shot. It started so well. I looked at it thinking, oh, this has got a bit of the Addy's dive watch about it. The loom was really good. But for reasons I don't entirely understand, the loom on the indices and on the ceramic bezel is much, much, much better and much more longer lasting than the hands. But that was the first thing. The second thing I'm not a big fan of is it does have these massive male end links on it, on the bracelet itself. And it makes what's a reasonably compact dive watch, because I think it is. I think it wears well, but it gives it a lug to lug of sort of 53, 54 millimeters, and I think that rules it out for anybody with an inch of, with a wrist of 6.5 inches or less. Which again, I just think is, given the amount of effort that's gone into this watch, I think that's just a bit disappointing. I think it does let it down very slightly. However, that is easy fixed, because the bracelet itself, while there's nothing particularly wrong with it, there's nothing great about it either. It's perfectly functional. It does exactly what it says. However, this does look much nicer when I slung it onto a sort of vintage style brown leather strap, and immediately gets rid of this problem with the massive lug width. But that's all for it, really. There's quite a lot going for it, I think. So let's talk about the things that I like with this watch, and we'll start off with just the simplicity of the design. Now, clearly, none of the credit for that goes to Wishdoit, because this is a homage watch. I do also really like the ceramic bezel. Now, the light is bouncing off a bit because it's a terrible day here in England. It's very overcast, and I've had to put overhead lights on. But the ceramic bezel is lovely. It's just got a really nice luster to it, and it does make the watch look more expensive than it was. So I have no idea what those interval markers on there mean. Please enlighten me if anybody could. But I just think it's really nice, and that combination, that dial colour, which is black but not black really, I think it's close to a dark grey, but that having a very shiny, very black bezel just gives you that really interesting little bit of contrast. So I've really been enjoying that. I do also like the sort of subtleish way that Wishdoit have done the branding on this watch. So quite often I look at dials and think I wish brands wouldn't put their name on a dial, and actually the logo works perfectly well, and they do seem to have got the right bit of branding in the right place. So we have the emblem, the logo on the dial, we have the logo on the crown, we have the logo on the clasp on the bracelet, but actually inside the clasp you've got the full name. I just think they've got it right. It really does work well for me. And then the final thing is just the way it wears. So I've had this for a couple of weeks, and I found it really easy to get on with. This is completely subjective, but as a wearable watch, this is really good. I've really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it even more when I thought to take it off the perfectly acceptable but not exceptional bracelet. And once I'd thrown it onto a leather, which I'm going to do in a minute, just for fun, it actually really changes the watch, and actually gives it, I think, a slightly more vintage aesthetic, and I think really works. So I'm going to do that now. Bear with me 1 second. And there we have it. Now, this leather strap isn't going to be to everybody's tastes. It's one I'd been wearing on a San Martin watch for a while. The reason I chose this one is that I was trying to get something that picked out the colour of the railway minute track around the outside, and I thought the yellow was the closest that I had to that. That may be complete rubbish, but it worked for me. And this gets rid of the problem of the ridiculous, the much larger lug to lug, and actually gets you back to a more compact sort of 48, 49 millimeter lug to lug, therefore makes it more wearable for everybody. But I just think the ceramic black against the brown, it just gives it that real vintage aesthetic. Okay, let's have a go at trying to sum this one up then. So I think I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I think when I initially looked at it, I thought just another clomage, but actually I've really enjoyed wearing it, particularly after I put it on this leather strap. So I've been kind of impressed. It's not perfect, let's be honest. The loom is just, they've kind of dropped the ball a little bit with the loom, having made such a good effort to loom all of the indices and the ceramic bezel, which was really impressive. Then for the hands to not last more than about 3 or 4 minutes, oh hell. But apart from that, and the lug to lug, which I fixed by switching out onto a leather strap, I've really enjoyed it. I know it's a homage. They are selling these through AliExpress, so I will leave links both to their website and to the AliExpress items. Be good to hear what you think. This one is one I suspect that might divide opinion. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the watch, but I really would appreciate your take and your thoughts on it. If you've enjoyed the video, please comment, like and subscribe. Thank you for lasting all the way through to the end. Again, I've had 2 AliExpress watches from the anniversary sale arriving today. They look good, so I'm looking forward to review those in the coming weeks. My pile of watches to review is slowly coming down, but we'll top it up every time there's a sale. That's it from me. Rain has just started. You might be able to hear it in the background. It's an overcast, rainy March day. I hope the weather's better wherever you are and that you have a fantastic weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.